Hello, all you scaredy cats and kittens, and welcome to the Two Scaredy Cats Podcast, where we talk about all things strange, unusual, and paranormal. We're your hostess with the mostest. I'm Stacy.
I'm Kara.
So, Kara, it's been a hot minute since we've been together because, well, we've taken a little break, much needed break, for the holidays and just to regroup and, just have some downtime. So what have you been up to recently, or where were you actually? More importantly, last week you were out where?
Yeah, I was in Long Beach, California.
Oh, right in the middle of the fires. Nice.
Not in the middle, but close enough for them for me to get the notifications.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, so when I was flying in, I flew in Wednesday, so Tuesday night is when the fires actually started. So I didn't really know until I was in the airport and I had someone DM me, being like, "Oh, I hope you're safe from the fires." And I said, "What? What do you mean?" Because we're out here in Ohio, so we don't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
And then I started looking into it, and I was like, "Oh, this is the thing." And then the convention itself actually made a statement, about how they were going to be going on like normal. Because Long Beach is not extremely close to the area. It was close, but not like LA, the city of LA is huge. The county area. And Long Beach is, in that kind of area, but it's, on the corner, and we're on the coast as well. So I think it kind of helped.
That probably helped a lot, too.
It helped. Yeah. So the air quality was not great on Wednesday and Thursday. You could kind of taste it in the air a little bit, and it was I think Thursday was a lot worse. I think it was 100 was the air quality, which is not great.
No, goodness gracious.
Yeah, there was a lot of they recommended the KN95 masks. Luckily
really?
I only had a few photo shoots that day. We still did.
Were they outside? Were you?
Yeah, I did. I still did them outside. It was kind of weirdly nice because the lighting. It was so hazy outside. It was kind of like a perpetual golden hour.
Oh, okay, nice.
Which, the lighting was really fun. It sucked to be outside, though, because, your lungs just kind of were not happy. I had to go inside frequently for, water breaks, because my throat would dry out so fast.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
I only had a few shoots that day, luckily. So, I survived. And it was, the air quality was back to normal by Friday. I think it must have blown it out of the area we were in. I think it helped that we were right on the coast, so we get that sea breeze, going on.
Yep. Nothing like a sea breeze to help.
Oh, and then I believe it was the Fridays when we got a notification.
Oh,
maybe it was Thursday. It was Thursday. So Thursday I got a notification. It said, it was be ready now to evacuate at any second. Get yourself ready to. I was like, huh? Because I said, we weren't that close at all. If you look at where Long Beach is and where the fires are, we were very far. Because we were on the south side of LA. Really far south. So we were like, huh? And we all were like, well, what do we do now? Because I was in the middle of a photo shoot, actually.
Oh, jeez.
So we're like, well, and everyone was checking their phones because we could hear it. Everyone get the ping. I also, an interesting thing, when we landed, all of our phones got an emergency alert immediately about the air quality.
Really? Wow.
So that was interesting.
That's crazy, yeah. And
then we all got the ones outside because everyone's phone started going off because we're at a convention, so there's a lot of people around.
Right? Yeah, that had to have been weird. Everybody's going off. It was just very eerie. Yeah, I bet.
Because you get that emergency alert.
Yeah, that happened once when I was in Kroger's. There was an Amber Alert that came through, and you know how that everybody, and all of a sudden, all you heard was all these people's phones go off at the same time. It was very weird.
But then we got the second notification. I think it was maybe 10 minutes in when we got a second one that said, "Just kidding, ignore the first alert. It was not meant for your area." So we were like, "Oh, thank God." So I was like, "What do we do?" We're literally so. Also, an interesting thing of how it affected the convention. There were way more people in the hotels than normal because a lot of people,
right? Homes had gotten burned, or they were evacuating.
Yes, they were all evacuating. This is actually kind of a really heartwarming story. the people I was rooming with, they told me a couple came up, like, or actually, like, a lady came up to them at one point. They said, hey, we really, really love your costumes. Like, this whole situation really sucks about, like, the evacuations. But it's nice that we can still, like, see all this cool stuff. And, like, it makes it not as depressing that, like, our fire or, like, our house burned down or whatever in the fire.
Aww.
And the lady she was a teacher, I guess. And she started crying and telling them how much it meant. And that she was really happy this was happening at the same time.
Aww.
So it really kind of gives you perspective on those kind of things, you know?
Yeah.
Because, like, I was like, I wonder if they're, like, all, like, what the heck?
Right, yeah.
Because there's, like, it's so odd.
Right.
Seeing, like,
but it
so
is
many...
LA, though, and there's a lot of odd things, though, in there. So I feel like it wasn't too out of the realm for them, though.
Yeah, but it was just kind of like, you see people in, like, costumes. It's basically like Comic-Con happening.
Right, just running around, I got you.
Yeah, and then... But I was like, that's kind of crazy that lady was so, like, happy. And it made her day, or, like, made it the whole situation a lot less worse.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. And then there were so many dogs as well, because I guess people were evacuating. They had to bring, like, their animals and stuff.
Oh, well, that's cool.
So there was a silver lining, I guess.
Yeah, lots of dogs around. Did any of them get into a fight or anything while you were there? Or, like, not the people, I mean the dogs. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I didn't see anything too crazy happen.
That's
like,
good.
The dogs. But there were definitely a lot of, like, animals. And there was also a wedding going on, too.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
In the hotel. It was
crazy.
Like a Indian wedding, too. So it was, like, really crazy cool
neat.
Outfits.
Yeah. Yeah, they have really pretty...
yeah, their outfits are so
outfits
pretty.
They wear. Yeah.
Lots
very
of
pretty.
Jewels and
stuff. All the
sparkly.
Jewels and the sequins and the sparkly stuff. Yes.
Yeah.
They have really neat.
So there was a lot going on that weekend.
Oh my god! Yeah, it sounds
Long
like
Beach.
it. Holy moly! Yeah.
But that was my fun
crazy
trip.
Time. Yeah, nothing much around here while you were gone. We got a bunch of snow, but that's about it.
Oh, I know. 'Cause we got the snow right before I left too, because I got to do a bunch of snow shoots right before.
Yeah, we got like 12 inches here, and then we got another 4 inches the other over the weekend.
Oh, it was also so hot, I think, because of all the air was so
the fire,
hazy.
yeah.
It was kind of like trapping the sun heat in, so it was like 70. I mean, hot for out there, I guess.
Oh,
for that
well,
time,
it had been nice
it was like 75.
For you, though.
I know
it was
like
we
went
nice,
from 0 degrees to.
Yeah.
It was funny because people would like ask like Elizabeth and Elle. They were like, "How are you guys wearing so like skimpy cosplays? It's so cold here." And we were like, "What do you mean?
What?
It's 70 degrees."
I was gonna say,
this
come
is
to us
warm.
where it's 0 negative degrees. Jeez.
And we were telling them like back at our place, you know, it's so cold. We were like Arctic temperatures right now. It was like 0 degrees this morning.
I know. I saw that. I was like, holy moly. In fact, it dropped.
So
like, I got up, it was 1 degrees, and then when I checked it, like 20 minutes, it was down to 0. But then it had rebounded to a whole 6 degrees. Yeah. I'm like, woo.
The wind chill had it like -10.
When
I was out, because I went to the gym this morning, the snot in my nose was freezing when I was outside. That's how you know it's really cold.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's why you should have a scarf.
Well, I was just trying to, like, scrape off my car really fast. Because it snowed yesterday, too.
I guess we can go ahead and get started. Yeah. So, I think you're going to go first this week. Yeah. So, what story do you have for us this week?
So, we're actually going to be talking about some missing person cases in Yosemite. Which I thought was kind of relevant, talking about California.
Yeah, yeah.
I like to talk about, like, at least try to find something in the, like, States or wherever I go.
Yeah.
So I found this in my Missing 411 book that we've talked about before. These ones were really kind of wild because they happened like all like within a few miles of each other. All these cases. So this one is actually interesting because her name was Stacy Ann Harris. I thought it was funny. Her name was also Stacy.
That is funny.
It is spelled the wrong way though.
Oh, is it?
That's Stacey.
Huh.
She was only 14 when she went missing. Her and her father were on a trip with 10 others and a guide through the High Sierra camps on horseback. So basically the group stayed together for most of the first day, and they had set up, they set up camp at some cabins in Sunrise High Sierra Camp. And the trip actually runs parallel to Highway 120. So they weren't, like, too off in the wilderness, if you know what I mean.
Right, yeah. Uh-huh. Huh.
So Stacy was sore from a long day of riding, because if you've ever rode a horse, it is a lot.
Oh,
and
yeah.
She wanted to go on a hike, basically, to stretch her legs a little bit after they had gotten to their destination. The elevation they were at was about 9,000 feet. So that's pretty high up.
So they were pretty high up, like
Yes.
we were when we were in the
Denver.
Rockies. Yeah.
So one thing that was interesting about this case is there was a lack of trees, and there was a lot of, like, exposed granite. So it wasn't like she could just go missing in the trees.
Right, right.
So she went hiking with another member who was a 7-year-old male, so she wasn't alone. So Stacy and Gerald is the name. They started on a... It was
Wait
like
a minute, did you
1.5.
just say he was a 7-year-old male or a 70-year-old male?
70-year-old male.
Oh, okay. I thought you said 7. I'm like, oh my god. All right, got you.
So Stacy and Gerald, they started on their 1.5-mile hike to Sunrise Lakes. After a bit of walking, Gerald was tired and told Stacy he needed to sit down for a bit. And at this very moment, the trail guide had actually happened to glance over and see them. He was actually the last person to ever see Stacy again. He saw her standing on top of a boulder, and she just walked off into the sunset. And they could never find her.
Wait a minute, she was on top of a boulder
and then
walked off?
Into the sunset, yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah. So they spent over 8,000 man-hours looking for her. And like I said before, the place that she went missing was, like, exposed granite.
Yeah, you said there was,
so there's no, like,
to
trees.
hide or whatever. Yeah.
So, like where did she go?
Somebody come in and come out.
And the other guy could see her, too, at one point. Remember? It was very odd how she went. And then, like, they spent over 8,000 man-hours looking for her, and they never could find her.
Wow.
The case cost the National Park Services $99,000 in 1981 is when she went missing. The date is important. So she went missing on 7/12/81, and it was near Tanya Lake. So this is also an odd fact about this case. She was never listed in a database for missing persons.
What? Why not?
I don't know. They said
that's
because the guy, he tried to do like the Information Act thing where you can get like information on cases. The NPS denied giving the case files over.
Huh. That's Uncle Jason's birthday, by the way.
7/12.
July 12th. Yeah, July 12th. Yep.
And then he tried again to get like the case files, and they denied it again. So it's really odd because they were able to get other case files, but why is this one in particular not?
Right, that's strange.
Able
that
to
tells
give
me something unusual what happened.
Exactly, but she's not the only person who went missing in this area. So
like the same area, or
yes, like I meant like a few miles in this area.
Okay, so the same.
So that's
area, basically
fairly close.
Yeah,
like a mile difference in someone going missing is weird.
Yeah, no, I agree.
We talked before, it's very odd that, like, the National Park Service doesn't have their own missing persons database.
Yeah, I am flustered, confounded about how that, given today's times, we don't have, they've never set one up. That's strange and weird.
Yeah, like, the guy who does the missing 411 stuff is doing
they have
more work than them.
I was going to say, they have more notes on, like, the trailheads and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Than they do on missing people. That's so weird.
Yeah. So, on the... what is this, 9th? What is it? 9th is August? No, September. 9th would be the September? Yeah, September 8th, 68. It's 1968.
Okay. Uh-huh.
2 off-duty San Jose cops found a man's body in a crevice. Near Tanya Peak, which is near Tanya Lake.
Right, that makes sense.
Where they were found in 1 mile directly north from Sunrise Lakes, where she was going hiking to.
Mm-hmm.
So, on 5/25/1976, Jeff Estes disappears on his way to May Lake, which is about 1.5 miles from Sunrise Lake.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's very odd that there's like a lot of weird missing cases. And then there's another one. So, 7/17/81 is when Stacy goes missing.
I think you said 7/12/81.
Oh, 7/17/81.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind.
So I mixed it up. It was not.
Okay. All right. So it was not the 12th. It was the 17th.
17th
Got
was
it.
the date she went missing.
Okay.
Yes. So retcon. So that's when Stacy goes missing, and then 7/15/88 is when Timothy Barnes goes missing.
Damn, like within a day or 2 days of one another.
But I mean, it's
different
88.
years.
Yes.
I know, but
it is odd that it's very close in date,
yeah,
and it seems like a lot of them are about 5 to 8 years apart from when people go missing.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Timothy, he was 24
There's
and
a
he
pattern.
loved hiking.
Okay.
He left the area of Highway 120, so when we talked about earlier, at 9 a.m. to hike up Polydome Lakes, and he was never seen again. And the area he went missing was mostly just exposed granite. Again, like all these areas people are going missing is in that like odd area.
Right, where you should be able
Yes,
to find them
to find
quite
people
easily if they're
fairly
missing.
easily. It is very odd that she went missing and he's like, there's no trees or foliage, so why is it so hard to find people? So Anthony Green Jr., he called relatives from a payphone on the perimeter of Yosemite National Park. The relatives not hear from him for days and alerted the authorities. And they found his car at the trailhead to the park in Happy Isles. His body was actually found 5 miles south of the location.
Damn.
Where Timothy Barnes and Jeff Estes disappeared. So it's another body that's near. But it's weird that you would think that the national parks would like be keeping an eye on this. This is all in Yosemite Park specifically.
Right. You would think they would have a map somewhere in their facility that marks where people have gone missing, so they know that if, people are going out that way, to keep an eye to make sure they don't end up missing also.
He went missing fairly recently, November 6th of 2009.
Mm-hmm.
That was like 15 years ago.
Yeah, something like that.
And then Jean Hesselschwartz went missing on 7/9/95, which was Glacier Point, Yosemite National Park.
Oh, so she was in the big park. Got it.
Yeah. Well, most of these are like smaller areas inside of Yosemite.
Right.
Like these are all in that general area.
Right.
Jean and Mike, which was her fiance, because they had just gotten engaged, had left their home to the Sierra Nevada to go backpacking and sightseeing in the mountains. The two had stopped in Lake Tahoe and they joined a Sierra Club, which is like a backpacking club.
Yeah.
Basically, it's kind of like backpacking if you don't want to backpack alone.
Right.
The trip went well, and then they decided they would check out Yosemite. Bad mistake. They entered the park at 10:12 a.m. and the two exited the car and decided to split up and go on 2 separate hikes and then meet up in 15 minutes. Don't split up, people. If I've learned anything, I was gonna say that
sounds weird.
Never
Why would you split up from your buddy in a national park like that? That nothing good ever happens. I know.
I'm like every time. Sorry, I feel like features that where they split up even for a second.
Come on, even in horror movies, you never split up from the group.
Obviously, Jean did not meet up at the spot at the time.
Obviously.
Mike started to search around the area, but she never showed up. After 15 minutes of looking, he found park ranger, and he got them involved, and then the search escalated from there. They actually utilized 8 different dog teams on this one, which is kind of weird.
Huh.
Which that's like a lot of dog teams.
Yeah, that's a lot of dogs searching. And then usually they only have like 1 or 2.
The FBI also got involved in this case. But it was also another case where they just would not give them the files.
And seriously, well, the FBI was involved. That's
what I was thinking. But the other one didn't. So, like, why?
Right. So that, why were both of them? They're not giving them the files.
But they give some of the files, but not all of them.
But not all. Yeah. Makes you wonder what's going on.
No. That was also another one. There's obviously way more, too. But those were just the ones I kind of enjoyed. I thought were interesting. It's just weird. Missing 411's always one of those topics where you're like...
Yeah.
Makes me not want to go hiking alone ever.
Right.
Especially the national parks.
Yeah, exactly.
Because all this stuff is just stuff that happens in national parks.
National parks, yep.
But anyways, what do you have for us today?
So today, I was going to talk about Slender Man. I know we kind of touched about it already back way in the beginning when we first started our podcast. But I wanted to go back to it because something interesting happened last Thursday. one of the girls that was involved in the stabbing got released from the psychiatric hospital that she was in, or the mental health facility that she was in. So I just wanted to talk about it again, but him again, but I was going to talk about it just go over the case about what happened and all that, and lead us up to what happened on Thursday with the one girl that tried to kill her friend. Dave. Okay, so we're starting off Slender Man. Just to recap real quick about what Slender Man was or is, in case you don't know. Slender Man was basically this fictional supernatural creature that originated as a creepypasta internet meme in 2009. He is said to stalk, abduct, and terrorize people, but he particularly liked children. He is depicted as a thin, unnaturally tall humanoid creature with a featureless white head and face and wearing a black suit. It's said he has very long arms like tentacles that he will use to kind of mind control, I guess, his victims. He kind of reminds me a little bit of the Demogorgon, right? Kind of, sort of, from Stranger Things. So anyway, as Slender Man rose to popularity, thanks to the internet and Tumblr, they made him into a couple of video games about him. In fact, I think it was 2 video games that they made specifically with his name in it. But interestingly enough, as a side note, that the Enderman in Minecraft, I don't know if you know this or not, was actually inspired by Slender Man. So for all you gamers out there that play Minecraft, yes, Enderman is basically based off of Slender Man.
Wow.
Like I said, Slenderman is often associated with the forest or abandoned locations, and he apparently has the ability to teleport. Stories featuring him usually involve him, like I said, targeting children or young adults. Some of the stories that are on Creepypasta feature young adults driven insane, influenced to act on his behalf. So, fast forward now, that was like in 2009, I believe I said right, that he came out, Slender Man. Anyway, well, Kara can tell you all about Slender Man because her and her brother, her middle brother, used to go on there all the time and try to freak themselves out watching videos of Slender Man. It was so funny.
Dude, Marble Horns was scary, and it was extra scary because when I was watching it, it was coming out, and we didn't know if it was fake or not. Because they leave it very, like, problem. Ambiguous.
Yes, they said that.
They never tell you and, like, the way it was honestly probably one of the first found footage kind of
and they
vibes. It's filmed like that,
said
you know?
Like, they would do interviews, like, you know what I mean? They would, like, interview victims or people, and they would talk about them, like, as, like, it's an actual
It was hard
story.
to, like, tell, like, if it was fake or not. It kind of, like, and I watch a lot of those kind of shows that are, like, based on alleged reality. Right. But you know what I mean? Like, yeah,
but back then,
it felt very real.
I think that was, like, the first of its type kind of thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And that too helped.
And with some of the kids being so young that were watching it, like, you were
it was
young.
It's called an ARG, an augmented reality game. So, like, there were, like, clues and stuff. There were, like, websites you could go to that kind of felt like you were a part of the
story or whatever.
Like, there were codes and stuff you had to decode.
Oh, okay.
That were, like, relevant. So it felt like its whole thing. And the story kind of would take off of theories too.
Yeah.
It seemed like they were kind of basing, I don't know. And it was, like I said, it was really scary because you thought it was true at the time.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Maybe it was true.
I know. I just remember you would crack me up. Oh my god! I'd come around the corner and you'd hurry up and try to get off of it, and I'd nail you. Being on that, looking up Slender Man and stuff, and he was coming out of a tree. I remember one you had. He was like in a cabin or coming out of a tree or something.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so Slender Man, you know, since 2009, he's been really popular and he's made all these memes. Well, in 2014, on May 31st, actually my birthday, which is kind of crazy, a couple of 12-year-old girls from Wisconsin by the name of Anissa Wire, Morgan Geyser, and their other friend, Peyton Leutner, went into a wooded area of a local park, and 2 of the girls ended up stabbing the one girl 19 times to appease Slender Man, apparently, and left their friend to die. Now, the girl Leutner was the one. She somehow managed to survive after crawling out of the woods for help. Grier and Weir later told investigators that the attack was an offering to Slender Man, who they believed would kill their families if they didn't do it. Now, in 2017, HBO ended up airing a documentary on this particular story and Slender Man in general, called Beware the Slender Man, and it was about the incident that happened in 2014. So here's like the backstory, or like the story of kind of what happened on the day that this all went down. So all three girls started attending the same middle school in the fall of 2013 in Wisconsin. Now, Weir and Geyser were already considered outsiders by most of the school, and Leutner, they had just moved there, and so she started going to the school. So she saw them sitting by themselves at a table, befriended them, and they started to hang out. Now, around this time, a friend of Weir's introduced her to the Slender Man. And she got really, I guess she thought it was really cool, and she got really into it, which we talked about how Slender Man was a creepypasta, and it's like a horror fan site. They would create fake encyclopedia entries and other testimonials about fictional monsters and supernatural creatures as if they were real. So Weir began to believe that he existed. And then she started talking about him to Geyser, who additionally started to become obsessed with the character, except Geyser became much more obsessed than Weir did. Geyser actually believed that she had a private telepathic conversations with Slenderman, and she would claim that she would see him, like, you know, they'd be on the bus and she'd be like, "Oh, I see Slenderman over there," or "He told me this," or "He told me that." And after a while, Leutner would get a little bit scared because of, you know, they kept talking about the Slender Man and all that, and she didn't like that that's all they would talk about all the time. They weren't, that's all they cared about. So Weir said that Geyser proposed the idea of killing Latrue so they could become proxies of Slender Man in late December 2013. So they kept a journal with ideas of how they were going to do this. So on May 30th, the friends had a birthday slumber party for Geyser. So it was a Friday night, and they went to a local roller skating rink, and they had a nice time, and they headed back to Geyser's home. And then, they went to bed, and they woke up the next morning, and they were hanging out in the morning, and they decided to go outside and play. And then this is where everything happened. So as Leutner was walking ahead of them while they decided they were going to go to a park that was nearby the one girl's house. So Leutner walked ahead, and Geyser showed Weir the knife that she had grabbed out of the kitchen. So the girls ended up playing a game of hide and seek in the woods next in this park. They were going to try and ambush Leutner while they were there, while they were playing this game, but they decided later that it would be better if they had her knocked out when they go to stab her, because apparently they had read online, or they had looked up this information, and they found out that if they are knocked out, it's easier. You know what I mean? They're not squirming around as much and stuff while you're trying to stab them with a knife. So because they had heard this, they decided, the one girl said she had to go to the bathroom. So all three went to the bathroom together. It was like one of those outside, bathroom things in the park. And they snuck up behind Leutner, and they bashed her head into the concrete wall in the bathroom in the park. Now, at this time, Leutner, they didn't totally knock her out. She was still conscious enough that she decided they meant to harm her, and she ran into the woods behind the bathroom that they were in. So she took off behind the bathroom, and the girls followed her, but because she had been knocked into the wall, she was a little bit unstable and a little bit, she wasn't running that fast. So they ended up wrestling her to the ground, and the one girl held her down while Geyser stabbed her 19 times. After they were done stabbing her, they were getting ready to leave, and Leutner was begging them, hey, can you help me, or will you get somebody? And they promised her that they were going to go get help, but they never did. So Leitner ended up crawling out of the woods to a nearby bike path where someone was coming by on their bicycle and happened to found her and called the police. Now, Weir and Geyser decided they were going to go to the local Walmart and clean up the blood off of them that they had all over them from stabbing her and get rid of the knife and all that. And then they walked around town for a couple of hours before the police pulled up and found them sitting by the interstate. The girls were planning on walking, this is quite funny, to Slender Man's mansion, which they believed was hundreds of miles away in Nicollet National Forest in Wisconsin. I find it, none of this is funny, but it's funny that they thought they could walk there. It's like hours away, they said, or hundreds of miles away. It would have taken them, they said, probably a day and a half just to walk there. It was that far away. So the cops picked him up, sitting there, waiting to walk the rest of the way to go find his mansion in the woods. So both Geyser and Weir were charged with attempted first-degree murder. But in March 2015, the judge decided that they would be tried as adults. Because originally they were trying to say that they killed in self-defense, and the judge was like, no, this was premeditated, it was not self-defense. Interestingly enough, both girls were diagnosed with some type of mental illness, with schizophrenia. The one girl, Geyser, apparently was diagnosed with early onset schizophrenia after she had been taken into custody, and then it was later revealed that her father had suffered the same illness when he was young also.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So Geyser ended up getting transferred to the mental hospital. And in 2018, she was sentenced to stay at a mental health facility for 40 years. And she was transferred to the Winnebago Mental Health Institute in Wisconsin. Now, Geyser had petitioned for release 4 times since June of 2022. And in April of 2024, she had put in another intent to be released to see if they would release her. And she got rejected because at that time, they still felt that she was a threat to society. So then just last week on January 10th, now this is 6 months after she had tried to get released in April of 2024, 3 psychologists testified that Geyser had impressive progress over the last 6 months and felt that she could relapse if she were to remain at the facility. They felt that by her being at the facility would not be good for her mental health, which is kind of weird. So she is being released to a group home, but there are all kinds of stipulations to her release. Like, it's not like she's just going to be running around, hanging out in society or anything like that. And we'll find out more about that in the coming days. Like I said, they just granted her release on Thursday, January 10th. Now,
that's crazy.
Yeah. Now, the other girl, Weir, pleaded not guilty for reasons of mental disease in 2016. So in September of 2017, she was found not guilty due to mental illness and was committed to 25 years at the Winnebago mental health facility. Then in July of 2021, a judge ruled that she was no longer a risk and granted her a conditional release. And in September of 2021, the terms of her release were finalized, and she was required to live with her father under around-the-clock GPS monitoring and supervision of case managers until she turned 37. But then on September 12th of 2023, a judge removed the GPS stipulation because they wanted to give her a chance to rebuild her life. Now, Leitner had to go underwent extensive surgery to repair her heart, liver, stomach, and pancreas following the attack. They had said in the article I was reading that she basically, for almost, 8 months after the attack, had to have surgeries done just about every week. She survived, but was left with physical scars, 25 total, and emotional trauma. She later revealed in an interview that she sleeps with a broken scissors under her pillow because she's so scared that, somebody's gonna come mess with her again. But yeah, that's what I have about the the Slender Man case and what happened to two young impressionable girls when they believed that it was true because of the way that even you said you thought it was
it could have been me.
I know it could have
been me.
You don't know.
I could have started. I mean, I would.
No, I was gonna say I don't see that happening, but yeah, you just never know, But just crazy that, like, the one girl, well, it didn't help that she was schizophrenic, so she was cooked. Yeah, she's already hearing voices and all that, so, you throw Slender Man in.
I don't think it helps, yeah.
I'm sure it didn't help that, she thought he was communicating to her and wanted her to be his, next new friend. But then I had a thought, I was thinking about this. You know how, when we talked about it once before, that sometimes things can be brought into the world by the thinking about them. Yeah, I was just wondering maybe if they, you know what I mean, that maybe he is out there. Who knows?
Yeah, well, I mean, we did talk about that because there's been other sightings of Slender Man.
Yeah, there has over the years. Or a Slender Man type creature, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it might not be Slender Man, but honestly, his description reminds me of, like, the shadow people sometimes.
Yeah, or even the, I just saw a picture of one.
Men in Black?
No, not Men in Black. What are the ones with the creepy white faces and they mimics or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
Kind of a little bit like that. But yeah, I mean, it makes you wonder if people, enough people are that, interested in it that they can bring it to fruition.
Well, if you talk about something enough, sometimes it does.
Yep. Can come
it's like a placebo a little bit, but with scariness. It's like a tulpa.
Yeah, that's right. That's it. There, yeah.
That because it's a tulpa is a thought form, but if you put enough thought and energy into it, it can become its own entity.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking.
It's a Tibetan term.
Yeah. Like, I wonder because so many people were so interested in it that it now exists out there in some form.
Yeah.
It might not be the form
when I was younger, I was trying to create my own tulpa, but
oh my god, okay.
Because there was a tutorial I found online.
Oh my! And see, this is why the internet should not exist. Right here. Oh my!
I was getting a little silly back then.
Yes, you were silly. But anyway, so
anything else?
No, I don't think so. I think that's everything today.
Well, if you enjoyed our podcast today, follow us on Instagram and YouTube at Two Scaredy Cats Podcast, and please be sure to leave a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It really helps the show get discovered. And tune in 2 weeks for a new episode. And to all our scaredy cats and kittens out there, remember, curiosity didn't kill these two scaredy cats.